Today on No Panic Pantry, we are doing a tomato sauce dive. There might be some hammering in the background, some sawing, and it feels like he's getting louder because he knew what I was talking about. Three sauces. The classic one we made for episode 1, which is the way that I kind of made it growing up, and that's simmering away over here. We'll have a blended sauce that's very smooth and restaurant-y. And then the third one, I want to do one of the easiest, most decadent sauces in the business. The classic, the Marcella Hazan tomato butter sauce. If you're like late night drinking and you want to cook for a bunch of people and you just want to throw something in there that you can make everyone go, oh my God, this is so good. And it's so easy. First sauce is in. Second sauce got a nice like 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're essentially making like a short confit. Confitting is when you cook something in oil at a low temperature. And this will make like a super creamy emulsified sauce. And by doing this, by confitting, you're softening the garlic, but you're also basically making super garlic oil. You can tilt the pan and let it kind of lock in, get it fully submerged, get the heat going. We're gonna get it to a nice, just like a gentle, so you just see little bubbles coming out. So now we got 3 basil stems. We're just gonna drop them. This is a great way to use your stems to get flavor out of them because the stems have a lot of flavor. You just don't want to chew on them when you're eating. So for the next one, we're gonna actually cut our tomatoes. Pour some of that juice out. I would always just do it by hand, but Marcella said cut up. So we're gonna cut them up. Some people say, why don't you just buy diced tomatoes? I find that when you buy pre-diced tomatoes, they're like a little citric acidy and they kind of keep their shape forever. And it's a little disconcerting. Transfer these in here. You've got a can of tomatoes. You have an entire stick of butter, some salt, half an onion. You notice I cut it so there's like the root is still kind of attached, but it doesn't have the dirt on it anymore, so it'll kind of stay together. This is it, folks. Salt, butter, tomato, half an onion. We'll bring it to a simmer. We'll cover it. What does she say? 45 minutes or until the fat floats free from the tomato. Sure. These two are kind of easier to make than this one, but this is faster. This is like your weeknight sauce. This is your like making a big pot of sauce for people sauce, and this is like you're drunk. If you want to get crazy, you could add a little pinch of chili flakes in there just to give it a little extra. Jesus Christ. Don't you dare show me doing something stupid. And now you're kind of making a little chili in that too. Again, chili sometimes is not for spice, but just for accent. See those little browned edges we're getting on them? The edge of those now? So now we can turn the heat up a little bit. I can take those basil stems out, let the oil drip from it, drip on my hand instead of the floor. It's always good to burn your hand with hot oil rather than have to wipe up the floor for a second. Another can of tomatoes, and then we're just gonna pour them straight in. And what did we learn, Ben? They charge you for the tomatoes on the side of the can. You're paying for them. You may as well use them. This is like this is like the worst catchphrase that I keep repeating that no one cares about. I'm gonna bring this to a simmer. A little salt, a little pepper. The thing that disappears, 2 things that disappear the most in my kitchen, in plain sight, are a pepper grinder and the lid to a salad spinner. Bring this down to a nice gentle simmer, and that's it. We got 3 sauces on the stove. It's been about 45 minutes, so now take a look in this one. So now it's all nice. You see that kind of fat pooling on the side. Turn the heat off, and we're just gonna blend this. You could always pour it into a blender, but this is gonna make a nice, blended, restaurant-y looking sauce. And then the aeration also gives it a little bit of like a pinkish hue, so it just looks a little extra like vodka saucy, decadent. This one, all that remains is to remove the onion. The onion's also like kind of tasty. You can see like the little bubbles of fat on there. Yeah. All right. Now, you want to season your pasta water right before you put the pasta in because it can overboil, reduce, yada, yada, yada. We've covered this before. And then, how do you know if it's got enough salt? You taste it. This is a lot of dishes for experiment, but this is what you get. This is why you're getting the premium content right here. I don't know what this gesture was. It was snapping and wanting money at the same time. I think a little chiffonade of basil will not hurt us. So all I'm doing is kind of stacking the leaves. It's the old roll and slice. Now you got a little basil garnish. Chicken on our noodles. Chicken my noodles with you. We got our rustic quick sauce, crushed by hand. We've got our confit oil blended sauce. We've got our tomato butter diced chunky. They all look very different. They're different sauces. This one gets a little pat of butter, as we did in episode 1. This'll be all right. It's not too much sauce. On this one, we'll throw a little basil in at the very end. Number 1, rustic-y, chunky, looks like grandma homemade sauce. This one very smooth, kind of pinkish, looks very restaurant-y. And then this one is kind of almost like a cross between the two. It's got chunks, but it's got some of that pinkishness from all that butter in there. This is like kind of a dream come true, just to try 3 different tomato sauces. This guy, nice big chunks, saucy. And this is what I grew up eating. It's amazing. It's acidic, it's rustic, chunky. You get kind of this very homemade, delicious feel to it. This one, the way it clings to the noodle is pretty cool. Like, it's a thicker sauce. It's like this emulsification that happens when you blend it. It gives it this like extra layer of like mouthfeel, like coats your mouth differently. That was really good. And then Butterman. I mean, it's almost a different category. This is like heavy, decadent winter sauce. I think I go 1, 2, 3. I think the rustic is still my favorite. The blended is my second favorite. And the butter one is my third. They're all great. It's like a preference thing. This is like an everyday. This is like a fun little, if you're cooking a batch, if we were doing like a nice, like a chicken parm kind of a deal, I'd probably want to do this guy. 1 pasta, 3 ways, all tomatoes, all the time. All tomatoes, all the time. And don't forget, because I've forgotten on a bunch of these already, Tasty Times, call for tasty measures. Is it weirder when I say it without my wife? It feels like it's cute when she's here, and when she's not, it's weird.
I think it should be a you and Eliza thing.
Yeah. When I'm alone, it's help me, I'm alone.